Yeah. Yes, so welcome everyone to part 2 of the Ascension 101 series, these videos that I'm doing with Tim Wilde. Welcome, Tim.
Hi, Lovisa. Thank you for inviting me back again.
Yeah.
Round 2, ding, ding.
And I'm going to repeat a little bit what I said in part 1, in case you haven't seen that yet either, that this is a video series that is about waking up spiritually. And because it can be a bit confusing when your whole perception of reality and yourself and your life, its meaning and purpose, they all change.
Mm-hmm.
And so based on my own experiences during my awakening period, which was recent, during the last 3 years, and also talking with Tim, who is an expert since you've guided so many souls on their awakening journey. We're talking about this together.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
we are.
Yeah, so this is part 2 out of 4.
Mm.
So do check out the other parts as well.
It's good to kind of catch up before we catch up, if you know what I mean. So make sure that you've watched part 1 so that you know what we're talking about. And thank you for inviting me on again, Lovisa.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. So glad to have you. And you also get a bit more. Tim introduces himself a bit more in part 1. So do check that out.
At me, what I'm about sort of what I've been teaching people over the years, or teaching myself before I teach other people. It's do teach from experience. It's interesting. It's important to point out that everything that you are hearing and are presented by both of us during this series is stuff that we have personally worked through and that we have personally experienced ourselves. And Lovisa has worked very, very hard over the last 3 years to actually move through the energies that some of you might be experiencing now. So she's a very, very good person to connect to and ask advice from. And you know a lot of stuff about a lot of things now, Lovisa. I think you've come a long way.
I have. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm calling these videos Ascension 101. Mm-hmm. So this was an idea that Archangel Metatron dropped in my head, because there is already an interview on this channel that's 2 years old that I made with you, Tim.
Be 3 years old, is it? Is it 2 or 3 years?
Oh, I don't. Maybe it's 4 years since I woke up, and I think it's 2 years since we made the video, and 3 years since I woke up.
Very, very similar day, actually. I can remember we were recording it, and it was chucking down with rain outside, and it's doing exactly the same thing at the moment. So we pick our stormy days.
Not here in Sweden, but that one is called Ascension for Newbies, and it's really good.
I watched it back the other day. I thought actually we covered some good topics, didn't we?
But over these few years, because I was still in my awakening period, really at that point, and now I have a better view of the whole process and all the different things that come up for me and from what I've heard from others as well.
Yeah.
And so there are other topics that have come up. So I thought, let's make a new little series here.
Yes.
And I actually didn't even know the meaning of 101. I thought it was really great because I know that you like numbers, Tim. And it's a very balanced number as well. But when I looked it up, I found it was perfect. So the definition that I found is 101 is a topic for beginners in any area. It has all the basic principles and concepts that are expected in a particular field. So if you're from the US, I'm sure you know this concept of 101. But for me, that I'm Swedish, if you don't have English as your mother tongue, it might be that you have no idea what this 101 means, but that's what it is. And then also I thought more about this with the 101. And so my understanding now, what I've been shown is also that, say that we would actually have 101 points altogether. We're not going to cover 101 points, but for example, there are 22 points that are essential to one person. For someone else, they might share 11 of those, but 11 other ones. So it's going to be different for each person, individual, what's most essential. But hopefully within these 4 videos of Ascension 101, you'll find most of what you're wondering and thinking about. So that's the idea. And the important, what I then heard repeatedly was, everything's going to be fine. This is essential number one. Lovisa, tell that to everyone. You'll be all right.
Yes.
You'll be all right, because it's not all that easy, this process.
No.
Yeah. So
it is interesting, actually, because a lot of people choose the spiritual pathway. I mean, we're going back a few years. I mean, back I was born in 1972, and so when the concept of a spiritual pathway was first introduced to me, it was a very easygoing thing. It was like, oh, I'm going to potter around and I'm going to learn a bit of Reiki. I'm going to collect some crystals, light some nice smelling incense, and look at my tarot cards. And it seemed like quite an easy thing to be doing, but in actual fact, it is anything but. Once you've stepped onto the spiritual pathway and you've adopted your role on this planet, you actually realize there's a lot more to it than that. It's an interesting point to make.
Yeah, so actually these 3 years for me have been the best years of my life, but the hardest ones.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
well. So it's life-changing.
Come thick and fast, don't they?
Sorry, the challenges.
The challenges come thick and fast.
Yeah. So it's life-changing. It's sometimes hard. It shakes everything up. You need to find a new balance, new equilibrium. But with these hard and tough moments come also the most amazing ones. So
they do. It's worth noting at the moment, Lovisa, that you called for the very highest. Okay, you called in and you accepted your role in its entirety, and not many people will be necessarily stepping out to do that. They might get slightly, to have come the distance that you have in that 3 years it's quite an enormous undertaking, and many of you out there will be doing this. You'll be like, you've woken up and you've said, right, give it all to me. I want the whole thing now, lock, stock, 2 smoking barrels, everything, and your pathway will be presented to you along with all of the responsibility. But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. You can ease yourself into it. You can learn at whatever pace is right for you, but you will get what you ask for. That is the most important part of that.
Yeah. So I have a great main guide, but he's tough too. Archangel Metatron.
Yeah, we all know.
Or were you thinking you, Tim?
I'm fairly easygoing. I think it's my team.
Yeah.
They're all very come on, chop, get it all done.
But so, to take an example of an experience that you might have, maybe you haven't had like a really strong angel experience yet, or you just did, but that's why you're watching this video maybe. But for me, the very first strong experience like that, where I fully felt the angel present in the room with me, was when I was doing one of the first meditations in Tim's and Diana's first book. Yeah, let's put it up again. Yeah. Can you see it now? Yeah, I'm showing it. Okay, yeah, here we go. So one of the first meditations in there is to meet with Lady Gaia, the angel of Earth, your Mother Earth, and so she touched my heart and re-invited me to Earth, as she does in that meditation, and that's when it became completely real to me.
Yeah.
And so you will have experiences like this, reestablishing your connections with the angels, the dragons, the unicorns, the masters, the ascended masters, maybe with nature, the cosmos, the stars, the sun and the moon, everything. So for some, like you said already, Tim, it might come all at once.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I suspect it's not that common, but it's going to be all individual. And for some,
it's becoming a lot more common at the moment for everybody to have everything dumped in their laps fairly quickly, simply because of the nature of the energy. Say 10 years ago, you'd have had more of a kind of the opening or the awakening process would have been a lot more kind of it kind of almost strung out a little bit, but because everything is so intense on the planet at the moment, a lot of you listening to this might have been not almost sprung awake in a very, very short time, and all of this might be coming at you simultaneously all at once, in which case, like, you've come to you're in the right place at the moment, because you know it is normal. You know, you aren't going completely bonkers, and all of this in actual fact is a part of our reality, and it's here to stay. In fact, if it's not just going to stay, it's going to grow. We're going to become a planet that is more spiritually connected than anything else, whereas before it's been very tangible. If it doesn't exist, if you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't eat it, you can't interact with it, when in actual fact there is so much more out there. And the people that are waking up now very suddenly are becoming aware of this very, very quickly, once the illusion or the shock of the illusion has kind of dropped away. And so this kind of goes into the category of soul awakenings, really. You know, I would be classified as a way shower, where I've been awake a very, very long time, and I've had virtually my whole life to kind of navigate this process. Not that it's been any easier, it's just I've learned what I've learned before in order to bring it forth and teach it. Whereas you would be, you know, I put you in the category of a sentinel awakening, Lovisa, where your soul has agreed to awaken at a certain time, take a lot on, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of duties, a lot of, you know, that soul blueprint, and establish it very, very quickly. That happens generally after 2012. And then you've got the third and fourth kind of waves of awakening that are occurring on this planet, simply because the vibration here now is so high, it's becoming increasingly difficult to remain asleep and be a human being on this planet. And the resistance that is the people that are struggling out there at the moment, the ones that seem to be unraveling in the media, the news, like the politicians, for example. If you're looking at what's going on in global politics or individual countries, you think, have you gone completely bonkers? You know, and they're sort of displaying symptoms of like reverting to children, and this is the effect of the energies. This is what happens when you take a human being who's resisting the expanded level of their consciousness and you cook them, and that's what's happening. Yeah. It's a global thing. It's not individual, it's not personal. It's because you've agreed to be on this planet at this time, and you're going to wake up. End of.
And so it might seem like it's not going in the, you know, that it's going in the wrong direction, maybe, but don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's not.
I know now I'm seeing, like, I know that Diana Cooper has talked about, like, if you have a pond and the water seems very clear, like in it, but if you start stirring it up, all of the, you know, mud or whatever
in it, the mud comes to the surface.
And that's what we're seeing now. It's not that it's worse than it was, it's just that it's
the beginning of the year.
More.
Yeah, I mean, everything that exists on this planet at the moment that is out of alignment is up for a review, and that's the majority of what we can see. The education system, the political system, the financial system, the medical system, all of these have got to move into a fifth dimensional vibration if they're going to survive. If they don't adapt, they will collapse. That's how this, and the way I've seen it, because a lot of people are worried about this. They're worried about kind of global economic, societal collapses, and all of this that's going on at the moment is being highlighted by what's happening in the individual countries and how they're dealing with what's happening this year. I've been shown right from the start that we do not need to engage in another complete breakdown. We're not going to be going back to living in caves, eating berries and trying to light fires with sticks and things like that. We're going to, if we do this job correctly, and we are doing it correctly at the moment, the transition is going to be almost seamless, because we're going to take what we had that is good, and we're going to and we're going to merge it with the higher frequencies that are available. The things that we can see that are out of alignment are going to break down, and they're going to reform at a higher level, but we're going to melt and merge the two together. We're not going to completely, the old blueprint, the kind of what we call the disaster scenario, the destruction blueprints, they're not available for the next phase. So anybody who's kind of tuning into like we're all going to, the lights are going to go off, the computers are going to collapse, there's going to be no food. They're tuning into the old blueprint, the old fear blueprint, which is very available because it's installed within us as human beings. We're not going there. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Don't trust anything, that you find on Google, for example.
No.
Or don't listen to. That's one thing about discernment that we were talking about in the first video, the first part as well, that you have to see, like, you can't believe in everything that everyone says.
No. Trust your heart, like you were saying, Lovisa, in the first video. If there's certain gateways that you take information through when it's presented to you. The most effective way to ascertain whether something is for you or whether it's right for you or not is bring it into your heart center. Okay, bring it into your heart center. You analyze that information, not so much logically or with your ears, but with how you feel about that information. Does it inspire fear? Does it make you afraid when you listen to it, or does it make you feel calm and at peace? And those are they're very, very distinctive ways of deciphering energy. If it triggers alarm, if it makes you afraid, it's not right for you. Okay, you drop it and you move to something that doesn't have that set of alarm bells. The majority of people on this planet at the moment are learning to navigate that because everything they're doing is fear-based. It's a global fear release, bringing it all to the surface so it's visible so that we can move on from it.
Because there are so many spiritual guides as well, and spiritual teachers, and unfortunately some of them will also be, they still have the fear-based.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people that are very tuned into the kind of conspiracy theories, the dramas, the kind of the negativity that does exist on this planet, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing about the transition. We're leaving that behind.
And
so,
also what you give your focus to,
whatever you focus
your energy
on and grow, basically. It sounds like a bit of a cliche, but which wolf are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the fear wolf? Are you going to feed the love wolf? I don't want my hand bit, and I know which one I'm going to hold the corn steak out to. It's logic at the end of the day, common sense. What we do with this is where we move to.
So and this is a part of your awakening process as well, like to learn
learn to navigate it.
Yeah.
The first and foremost, just be aware of where your attention is going. Okay, if you're wondering how to navigate this, pick things that make you light up, pick things that will feed your soul. Turn off the news and the media, and I say that like, I've got no qualms about it whatsoever. If you're tuning into the news, if you're getting your information from the mainstream media, you are going to be living with a lot of fear coming into your fields. Switch it off, because it's all rubbish at the end of the day.
I stopped watching the news several years ago.
I've been telling people to people for years, but most importantly this year, because that's the it's designed to challenge people. It's designed to create fear. And if you're tuning into it, you're not going to be hearing the truth, and B, you're going to be receiving a lot of vibrations that are specifically designed to trigger you in a certain manner.
So, but also it's a right now a lot of people are letting go of a lot of karma.
Yeah.
We go into this concept of karma that a lot of people have heard about, but so and during this lifetime, we're letting go of a lot of karma for good.
We are. It's even people who are just waking up will be aware of the concept of cause and effect, which is karma. What you put out, you receive back again. That's a concept that everybody knows about. And if you're ignoring it, then whatever kind of thing. But the way that we accumulate karma, or that we deal with karma, or the way that we're born with karma has now completely changed, because anybody born after 2010 or 2011 or 2012 will no longer be incarnating on this planet with residual karma from previous lives. You and me and a lot of the people who are old enough to be listening to this out there will be working through the end of their past life karma, their relationship karma, their family karma, karma that you brought through from previous existences. It can't go where we're going. It's all had to be cleared. So it's been a real roller coaster for a lot of us on the spiritual pathway, because we've had to ditch it quickly, and we know that we're ditching it. And we know that we're working through it, but not necessarily knowing it doesn't make the challenges of dropping it any easier.
But it's very good to know
for
everyone.
It does help. It's like, oh, I'm being tested again, or that's karmic stuff coming up. It's yeah.
So if you have like situations repeating
again and again,
them, maybe you're you know, do something differently.
Patterns tend to be if you got a pattern occurring in your life, like a repetitive situation that's coming up again and again, and you're wondering, what the hell have I done to actually, you know, attract this, or why me? You got to kind of look past the kind of, it's moving from victim to master, basically. It's taking responsibility for the situations that occur, because anything that's occurring on a repetitive basis will be calling your attention to it, because it's probably at some point within your field waiting to be released, resolved, accepted, whatever you need to do to move on from it. And there's people that specialize very, you know, very clearly in helping others move on from that. It's quite a specific process.
And then we're shifting into something that's called instant karma.
Yeah, instant. We're moving into a world or a planet or a frequency where whatever we put out comes back immediately. Okay, now when we have eventually moved into the fifth dimension in 2032, as we said in the previous video, cause and effect or karma will be instantaneous. So whatever you put out will return to you. Now, most of the time at the moment, that is perceived as an emotion. It's registered within the emotional body. So if you do something that's wrong, knowingly or unknowingly, it comes back to you, and it's kind of absorbed or accepted within the emotional fields, and it manifests as kind of as whatever drama you are experiencing in your life, or the circumstances start to build up. So that's another thing that's worth noting, is if you're watching the occurrences on this planet at the moment and wondering, oh lordy, how are they getting away with it? They're not at the end of the day, because it will all come back, and this is all part of the cooking pot that we're experiencing at the moment.
Yeah, that's good to know. No one's gonna get away with it.
Yeah, you're not getting away with it.
But so during the awakening process, there will be a lot of tough moments, and you do probably have karma to work through. And I mean,
end of the day,
but all of us also we've been working through the karma before waking up as well, spiritually. I mean, so it's not that you're going to have everything left.
No, you're not going to wake up and have it all dumped on your lap. The chances are that you will have already worked through the majority of it, and possibly your karmic experiences are part of the reason why you've woken up. Yeah, it's all tied in. A lot of us are repaying back karma through service now. You know, we're on the pathway, we're doing what we're doing because we love our planet, we love the fellow people around us, the animals, the trees, and it's service at the end of the day. Now, karma and service come in very hand in hand with each other. A lot of us have been doing tricky jobs on the spiritual pathway, you know, those repetitive things that don't seem to have a lot of recompense for it, or a lot of, you know, but you do it because you know you've got to do it. It's karmic service. There's a lot of that's been going on.
And also, you can actually ask to, can I repay this through service instead, right? If it's something.
If you've identified something that's occurring within your life on a regular pattern, something which is almost what I'd call exceeded its creative potential, By that, I mean, you could, and you can see it with people. You might have somebody in your life that is a very, very good person, who's been a good person. They've put the hours in. They don't put a foot out of line within the boundaries of reality, but they don't seem to be able to pull themselves out of this kind of hole that they're in. Like they have continuous bad luck financially, or with relationships, or with family. And it's almost like this is the end of the karmic cycle. It becomes it's almost like it's a bit of a design fault with a physical reality, is the fact that people should have moved out of that, but because of the repetition of it, they haven't done. That's where grace comes in, by the way. This is where grace can intervene and pull people out of that. But if you've identified that happening with somebody else or within your personal life, then you can turn around and say, look, I wish to be removed from this situation. Talk to the board of karma, who are a group of souls that have lived on earth many, many times. And they kind of, it's like having your local council, your local government, within spirit, within the kind of the spiritual tiers that work with us, there are souls that form specific groups. And the board of karma are the ones to speak to say, if you want to say, look, I wish to be of service and I want to pay this situation back, can I do so through service? Then that is a very fast way to achieve that.
Do you need to know who they are? Or do you just know that's the board of karma? Because there you can read about them also in yours and Diana's books.
You can. I mean, Kuan Yin is the soul that I tend to connect with very much on the board of karma. She tends to step forwards and deal with the human side of it. So if there's something which I know needs resolving and I can resolve it through service, I will do, and I'll speak to her about it. Yeah.
But so we did mention a bit about this in the first part, but if you're just starting to listen to the angels and your guides, like how do you hear them, and also how do you know you're not making it up? And also you get confirmations through different signs and synchronicities. So that's something that was also very new to me, that numbers or things repeating themselves. Sorry?
Signs from the universe, synchronicities usually.
So what is a synchronicity in this?
A synchronicity is an event that happens again and again until it gets your attention. Like, say, take for example the numbers. So just if you're listening to this, like Google numerology or go to a numerology site for more of an in-depth. But say the universe is telling you that you are about to enter a phase where you are building. So watch your thoughts, watch what you're creating. You'll most likely see the number 222 on a regular basis. So 222 is a master builder number. Whenever I see it, I know that I'm building on the foundations and creating something, and whatever I've previously asked for is coming to fruition. And if I'm not paying attention, then I'll get that number on a number plate in front of me, or I'll look at the clock, or I'll wake up and it's 2:22 in the morning, or I'll nearly crash it. If I'm not paying attention, I'll nearly crash into the car in front of me and the number plate will be 222. This is universal repetition. Or the angels will drop a feather on your car or your doormat, or you'll find a feather in your house where you'd never know, like where's the pigeon sort of thing. And it will be individualized with every single person, like if something is occurring on a regular basis and it's happening to you to get your attention, it will do so until you've paid attention.
It's interesting with the number 22. For me, that's also divine feminine. And for me, my numbers are 5, and that's more masculine, but it's also Archangel Metatron.
It is.
So there can be different meanings, and that can be a little bit individual to you, what it means exactly to you, I think.
Right? It can do. You're quite right there. Is whatever that note is. It's always take your own perspective into whatever you're learning. It doesn't necessarily have to be by the book. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what I say or Lovisa says or anybody else out there says. Always trust what you receive as part of your intuition to add to whatever that you are learning or realizing.
For me, I often see like so 22:55 the time. I often see them. I'm asked to find balance a lot in this lifetime, so like balancing them as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But so when you start to listen to the angels and guides, we go back to that again. There are different kinds of sentience. You see like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience.
It's a good point, actually, because this is one of the things that comes up when people start perceiving is how you perceive. Now, the majority of people on this planet, me included, are clairsentient, which means you are sensitive to the world around you. We are all sensitive beings. How we perceive that level of sensitivity is completely down to how our third eye functions. So you can be clairsentient, which means you will pick up and feel acutely the energies around you. You can be claircognizant, which means you almost hear, or no, claircognizant is knowing, okay? So something comes to you and you know it. It might be in your voice, but it might be from a different source, so it has a different vibration. This is it's a very, very powerful one to have, but it does take a bit of fine tuning because you've got to ascertain what could be your imagination, what is information coming to you. But once you've honed it, it is a powerful tool. I'm very claircognizant as well as I am clairsentient. You've got clairaudient people who they're not quite so usual because they are the ones that hear very clearly, like they'll hear words or they'll hear advice. And they kind of form a much lower percentage, and is the one that everybody's jealous of, the people that are clairvisual. Oh, I can see an angel, or oh, I can see a dragon. And over the years, there's always one in every single workshop, and everybody's jealous of them because they're the ones that can actually see physically the energy form in front of them. Now, all of us are a little bit clairvisual, a little bit. And as children, we're highly clairvisual, but that gets shut down either by fear or parental programming or societal programming. And eventually later on in life, it tends to develop it more into clairsentience and claircognizance. But clairvisual people will be able to see these different energy formats. And where we're going with the higher frequency energies, the fifth dimensional vibrations, we will be able to perceive with our third eye and hear with our fifth dimensional ears a lot more than we can at the moment.
I personally think it's good that you don't suddenly become totally clear.
Oh yeah, freak everybody out, you know.
You see everything.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a dragon in my room.
Yeah, take it little by little.
Yeah.
But so it's not necessarily like the best to have a clairvoyance to be able to see
on the pathway,
either.
people do tend to be jealous of those people because they want to see. If I could see everything, you wouldn't get a word of sense out of me. I'd be distracted. Looking at everything going on around me all the time. You're just like, oh, what did you say? I'm looking at the ET craft hanging over the top of that building, sort of thing. It's that's the way it goes.
But it's interesting. I think I can perceive it like with my third eye, but then my heart tells it it's my heart that sees it. So I can see it like inside of my mind, but it's not that I see it here. But then I can overlap the two.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it develops.
Yeah, it's all down to trial and error and just practice, really.
Yeah, but I think maybe we should bring in protection as well, Tim. Like, how do you know, for example, that what you see, feel, or hear is who they or what they seem to be? You did mention this in the first part.
Yeah,
a little bit as well.
To be how they resonate with your field, so you can tell very quickly whether something is right for you by the way that it feels with your heart center, or you perceive it with your solar plexus. And protection is a massive, massive subject, because, you know, a lot of light workers over the years have kind of cut their teeth by protecting themselves from this world around us, you know, this harsh 3D reality where all of the energies are out of alignment with our sensitive spiritual selves. But as we step into this period that we're in at the moment, things are changing. You know, we're not the minority anymore. We don't need to protect ourselves from this world. We are changing this world. We are the alchemy that triggers everything to rise to our frequency. So theoretically, the concept of protection has completely changed. You know, if we're going to adopt responsibility and mastery for what's going on around us, then we don't need to protect it ourselves from it. We alchemize it. So protection is being in a high frequency. Protection is having a high vibration and being disciplined enough with that vibration not to have it affected by what is going on around us, which is an art form. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm still working on it. You're still working on it. But eventually, with practice, it becomes to the point where you can maintain a vibration. Nothing outside of that vibration has the power to alter it unless you give it permission to. That's your protection at the end of the day. Having a frequency that cannot be altered or interfered with or dulled by what is occurring around you. But that takes work at the end of the day.
I remember you telling me this at the beginning when I was starting to wake up and we were having conversations about this. And I, because before I woke up, I would be afraid of seeing because probably I was picking up lower energies. You know, I had areas in the house and where I feel something and like I don't want to see this. But then you're saying this, if you raise your own frequency, like and
everything around you.
And it can't come near you really. So because there might be people watching or listening as well that have a fear of this or maybe have seen something that you feel is lower.
I mean, it all comes down to personal belief systems at the end of the day. If you believe that you are vulnerable, if you believe that you are going to be compromised, energetically attacked, going to attract gribblies and nasties to you all the time, then that's what will happen, because by the law of attraction, you send that energy out and you draw it to you. If you believe that you are in a high frequency, and I'm not you know, I'm not sitting on my soapbox here saying, oh, I'm perfect, because I'm not. I still get it myself. I have to recheck and check again that my energy is on point in order for me to stay in the frequency that I want to be at. It's not something that you can just set and then forget about it, because every single thought that you have will alter the dynamics of your vibration. So it's all about being disciplined enough spiritually on this pathway to maintain that frequency. Once you've done it, nothing can touch you. You're like Teflon man or Teflon woman, and everything that's thrown at you will just kind of slide off your amazing light. It's we're all a work in progress.
Because I know that you say as well, and it is very important in every morning that you set your energy.
The second my feet touch the floor, I set my energy for the day, because I know that I'm in for another day on planet Earth at the moment. So everything that I do has to be of the highest, you know, whatever I'm going to receive has to be the highest version of what I want to perceive it to be. And whatever I put out has to be done with integrity and light. So I set my frequency at that vibration, and that's how you start your day. You ground, you set your light field, and you hold that vibration.
Because I know I really took that to heart. Like if I shine, if I hold my energy high, and from that moment I never worried about anything lower. It's like
you won't.
You know, it wasn't in my mind even. So.
No. It's quite often things in our fields that we're worried about or might be compromising our light. That's an indication of where we need to step up and actually, you know, and raise the light levels in that particular area.
But also, I think to tell everyone, like, if you do have a negative thought, don't beat yourself up, because we all do.
We're human. We are all human, and we're human living on an evolving planet. You know, give yourself the time and space and the love to grow into what you actually are.
Been thinking, if we mention like one thing that is very good to use would be the violet flame or the lilac fire source, I think.
Yeah, you can never have too much violet flame. Okay, invoke the violet flame if you are ever feeling that you are overburdened with energies, whether you've received something from another person that you didn't want to receive energetically or verbally, just take for example, or you can see something that's out of alignment that you would like, you'd like to send your love to in a high vibration. The violet flame is designed specifically to alter frequencies so that they vibrate at a higher resolution. So say, for example, I can see an argument happening between two people. Under the law of grace, I place the violet flame around them and I ask that the negative energy between these two people be transmuted and replaced with higher light. It's not going to stop them arguing, but it's going to stop the vibration they've created and dissipate it into a higher reality. That happens on a mass level, or it can happen on an individual level. It's a very, very powerful, the flame is very powerful.
Yeah, because normally you have to ask permission to intervene with anyone else, but with the violet flame
automatically operates on the law of grace. It's the one spiritual energy that you can use anytime, any place, anywhere. It will raise your vibration if you invoke it and bring it into yourself. Just close your eyes for a few moments and imagine yourself kind of like lit up with this beautiful violet fire, and breathe it into your body, breathe it into your lungs, into your chakras, and just know that when you've done that, that it's removed all of the lower frequency stuff and you are reset back to a level that you are comfortable with.
And we have Archangel Zadkiel and
Yeah,
Gabriel.
Archangel Zadkiel, Archangel Amethyst, Saint Germain, who's the physical Cohen of the violet flame when he was alive, and now he's an ascended master. All of these different souls that manage and hold this particular energy, you can ask to help you as well.
And for the cosmic diamond violet flame, which is one version, we also have Gabriel.
Yeah, and then you've got lilac fire of source, which is universal angel Mary and Archangel Zadkiel. They've unified together. There's so many different versions of it you can work with, whatever you feel comfortable.
So I think I have one more subject that I would like to talk about in this part, and it's because it ties into karma as well. It's tests and initiations.
Tests and initiations.
Yeah, would you say something about that, Tim?
Initiations are all part of the pathway. In order to move from one frequency to another, the chances are that you will have agreed to a test or an initiation to push you through that process. So it will be circumstances within your physical life that are challenging you, that you've got to move through. And because it's a test, because it's an initiation, it's designed to be difficult. Okay, now, all of you seasoned light workers out there, you'll all know what I'm talking about. But if there's many of you that have kind of come to this spiritual pathway because you've been tested, because you've been through an initiation that's literally broken you out of that kind of that slumber and put you into this higher frequency, this is part of the process. In order to be, you say you're passing your A levels or your SATs at school, you're tested, and that test is difficult. You have to revise for it. You have to take that information in. You have to put effort into creating the answers that you need. That's what happens on this planet. So tests and initiations will be formulated by you under agreement in conjunction with your guides and your angels for you to go through on this planet. Okay. And I know everyone's thinking, oh God, not more of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's if you're experiencing it, the chances are that you will have signed on the dotted line and say, yeah, I need to go through that in order to move for the next phase. And it will be difficult and it will be challenging. But at the other end of it, you will have you in a much, much higher space and much higher frequency with a sense of accomplishment and also a toolbox with what you have learned during that initiation, which you can then teach to other people. That's the whole point of it.
So waking up is, that's a lot of tests and initiations there.
Yeah.
So that's what I've gone through, and so that's why I can share these.
Through a lot in a very short space of time, as I said at the start, Lovisa. You've traversed them very, very well. So.
But it's, thank you. but that's also in order to help others. Now I feel like since I have all of this has happened to me in a short period of time, I can now
you have
tell others, and they don't, and hopefully you make it a bit easier for others.
It helps to know what you're going through. It doesn't necessarily help the construction of what you are experiencing, but it helps to know that you are going through that. And it's also interesting to note that if you are going through a test and initiation, like, help might appear to be a bit thin on the ground. That's because you don't get teachers giving you the answers when you're taking an exam at school. They will stand back until you've been through it, until you've been tested. So again, it's all part of the process.
Yeah, and remember that for every test, every initiation, you climb higher. So
much higher. Some people are taking very, very big steps very quickly at the moment. So well done to all of you out there if you are. It's quite a process.
So Tim, thank you for let's wrap up part 2 of this series, and thank you all for watching, and hope to see you.
Sending you all lots of love out there, and thank you, Lovisa. Lots of love to you too, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
You too. Thank you, Tim. Bye.
Bye.